Toward the end of the Nuggets Game 7 blowout, Russell Westbrook stole the ball from his ex-teammate Ivica Zubac and slammed it down, hanging on the rim. Yelled at the crowd, send their home. The only thing better would have been Russ damaging the rim, so LA had to sit there an extra 20 minutes while they fixed it. But that didn't happen. Instead, Russ said something else after the game that was even more spicy about his old team. See, the Clippers let Russ go, traded him for career backup Chris Dunn, seen here blowing a layup before getting completely benched. Oh, Russ might have blown a layup or two, but dude got his revenge in this series. So what did he say about his old team? Well, Russ has had, honestly, a terrible time since Kevin Durant left him in OKC. Yes, he won MVP, but in the playoffs, he lost in the first round 3 straight years. Then dealt to Houston, who gave up on the center position to try to make it work. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Lands in Washington swept as an 8 seed. Then the Lakers, still recovering after their terrible decision to trade for him. It got so bad as a Clipper, the hate was so loud, Russ confronted a fan in front of the dude's kid. It was sad. But then, all of a sudden, Russ is back. How did he do it? But we are somehow still dealing with the stigma of therapy. I hear all the time people say, getting help is a good thing. But really they're like, that's good for other people. Just not me. Yeah, right. The block is how we're raised, or cultural norms, or an old school attitude. Like, yeah, my parents' generation just bottled it up. Well, I've realized that just didn't work for me. So if any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. 62% of adults believe societal attitudes discourage people from seeking mental help. Despite growing up in an era of mental health awareness, 37% of Gen Z believes that those who seek therapy are mentally weak. Well, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, BetterHelp is sponsoring this video, and I'm working with them to stop the stigma around mental health support and encourage more people to get support from a licensed therapist. Therapists listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. They can give you advice and techniques to make positive changes in your life, and BetterHelp's mission is to make starting therapy as easy as possible. So if you think you could benefit from speaking with a licensed therapist, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/amhoops to match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. Use my link, gets you 10% off your first month of therapy. Well, for the series, he dropped 14 points on 43% from the field and 42% from 3 for Denver. Compare that to last year, just 6 points on 24% from 3 for the Clips. Both times he came off the bench. So what happened? Well, the first thing is 42% from 3 is the best in a playoff series Russ has ever had. For some reason in Denver, dude has embraced the corner 3. He hit 7 of them in this series, including a Game 1 win to send it to overtime.
Russell Westbrook!
So the reason Russ is thriving in Denver is he's evolving. Dude never shot corner 3s like this. Scored 126 points as a cutter off the ball this year, his most since 2012, taking fewer mid-range J's. And they said this man couldn't change his game. Maybe it's playing with unselfish Nikola Jokic. Maybe it's just the pressure of all that failure for so many years, but dude is different. Now I know what you're thinking. Yeah, before that big Game 1 3, he, blew a wide open layup, but that's all part of the Russell Westbrook experience. And for a guy known for, a little ego, dude actually said, yeah, I know I can be a little crazy.
It may be a turnover, it may be a missed shot, but it may be a steal, maybe a dunk, maybe a missed 3, maybe a made 3. It's gonna be all of that. It's gonna be everything. So you just take it for how it comes, and whatever happens, you go with it.
Okay, that was actually hilarious. But what did he say right before that? Well, a reporter says that when Russ walked by the media going into the locker room, he said, they picked the wrong person, didn't they? Now who is he talking about? Well, he could mean Chris Dunn, that guy that they traded Russ for, or it could be James Harden, because Harden's now the full-time point guard in LA, but in Game 7, he dropped 7 points on 8 field goal attempts. This has got to be one of the weirdest Hall of Fame players of all time, because for some reason, in big games, Harden continues to no-show. He has now lost a Game 7 on 4 different NBA teams, and what's really crazy is he always starts the series well. Like, look at dude's last 3 playoff series. Game 1 this year, 32 points. Rest of the series averaged 16. Last year, 28, then 19. But with Philly in 2023, he dropped 45 points in game 1 against the Celtics, then 18 games 2 through 7, including just 9 points in the final matchup. For some reason, the bigger the moment, the smaller his confidence. It's kind of ironic that now him and Ben Simmons are on the same team. So of course the Clippers were going to lose, right? I mean, unless Kawhi just became superhuman and he was good, but not that. He was by himself on offense. Now, I know a lot of people will point to Harden's 13 assists in Game 7, but he is clearly afraid to shoot the ball. But no, the Clips didn't choose the wrong person, because during the regular season, for some reason, Harden's amazing. I mean, while Kawhi was out for 45 games this year, James carried the offense. He dropped 23 points a game with 9 assists, an all-star for the first time since 2022. Him and Norm Powell were great. LA won 50 games when Vegas predicted 35. So they were the second most surprising team in the entire Western Conference. So in a lot of ways, this season wasn't a disappointment. They got unexpected improvement from Powell and Zubac, who finished runner-up for most improved player, but it wasn't good enough. They just couldn't finish games, especially in Game 4 when they blew a chance to go up 3-1 with that Aaron Gordon buzzer-beating dunk. So what is next? Well, believe it or not, the Clips pretty much have to run it back. Kawhi is under contract for 2 more years, and they will extend James Harden to be the same. Then, LA is targeting the summer of 2027 to completely rework their roster. Until then, the core is in place next year. They've got Kawhi, Harden, Powell, Zubac, Derrick Jones Jr., Dunn, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and probably Nick Batum under contract. But the crazy thing is so many people criticize them for letting Paul George walk last year. Why would a win-now team do that? Well, it turned out PG had the season from hell, so the Clips were able to build a deep team that won 50 games, mostly without their best player. But without PG, they are flexible yet again. They have got space under the luxury tax to sign a big free agent. So what do they need? Well, despite having the oldest roster in the NBA, Clips still had the 15th ranked offense, but number 3 on D and the 5th net rating. So team needs are, first, more shooting. Only Denver took fewer threes this year. Hey, maybe Cam Thomas would come over for the mid-level exception. Kid scored 24 points a game, but not much else. Another inefficient option, D'Angelo Russell is a free agent, and maybe coming off the bench, running a second unit could revive his career. Or maybe trading for somebody like Cam Johnson would give the offense a pop. But look, the obvious team need here is a second star next to Kawhi Leonard. They will continue to be a regular season team with Harden as co-star, because all Harden is a regular season player. Now, I hate to say that because he's so talented, but if you are still defending him at this point, that is on you. Now, as far as trading for a star, the Clips don't own their own first-round pick until 2030. So that leaves 2 tradable first-rounders, but they're not actually going to do that. Probably work around the edges, but what's crazy about the Clips is they've got almost every position covered. They had so many opportunities to win this series. I mean, Zubac probably played the best defense on Nikola Jokic of anybody you're going to see in the NBA. They even let Game 1 go. It was a miracle Denver won that. Russ truly was the X factor in these games, and LA wins this series if he's off the floor. So what they really need is a consistently healthy Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to show up in big games. That's it. Which is kind of like saying, oh, if only Zion was healthy and in shape. It's not gonna happen. So LA will probably just have to ride it out for 2 more years of Kawhi, hope for the best. In the meantime, Russell Westbrook is still alive after getting revenge on his old team. But the other LA team is out of the playoffs too. The Lakers got bounced in the first round, and the media is now blaming Luka. They say the Luka trade has now been exposed, but they're forgetting one very important thing about Luka in LA.